my name is Michael Fish, and I know a thing or two about the British weather. For most of the time, it's pretty predictable, but not always. What we do know is that the weather's getting worse. Well, in fact, more extreme. Our climate is changing. As temperatures continue to rise, heat waves are becoming more frequent in the summer, and in the winter, it's getting wetter. Storms and floods are becoming commonplace in some areas. Blistering sun, lashing wind, driving rain and snow. In the British Isles, we can sometimes get all that in the same day. So, how do we protect ourselves? We wrap up warm, we put our umbrellas up, or if it gets too rough, we run to our homes for cover. Now, that's all well and good for us, but what's protecting our homes? For many of us, our most valued investment. After all, these extreme weather conditions, year in, year out, can soon take their toll on the walls of your home. So, how can you protect your home from all this damage? Each of these buildings has something in common. They're all finished with the same exterior protection, a protective finish that not only beautifies these buildings, but survives the challenging British climate, summer sun, autumn rain, and the damp, cold winters. It's not a paint, it's an advanced protective coating. Researched and developed in the UK, it's designed to protect British homes from British weather. It's so resilient, the manufacturers guarantee that it'll still be doing its job and looking like this in a quarter of a century's time. So, who's providing this protection? Endurogard are specialists in the exterior restoration and protection of domestic and commercial properties, and are part of the Endura Improvements Group with over 40 years' experience in helping preserve the nation's homes. So, let's have a closer look at the kind of problems Endurogard are used to dealing with. This is called spalling. The outer skin of the bricks has been eroded, leaving the porous material inside open to the weather. It can then absorb more water, which can freeze and expand, causing yet even more damage. Now, all bricks soak up water. It's a question of degree, but look how porous a brick becomes once its skin has eroded. Between these bricks, the pointing has become loose and falls out, which of course lets in even more moisture. This can significantly erode the mortar beds, which are there, and not just to bond the bricks together, but also to keep them apart and take the load. The smooth render plinth around the base of this house has algae all over the surface, and this indicates the render is damp. Water is absorbed by porous pebble dash, rendered surfaces, and through ineffective paintwork. Water gets behind the rendered surfaces, and, because render is a rigid material and is not flexible, when the water freezes, it forces the render away from the wall and expands the cracks, letting in more water, and so the damage continues to get worse. The problem is that this so often happens beneath the surface where you don't see it. So everything looks fine from the outside, but underneath it's barely attached to the brickwork, and further erosion and damage can occur behind this rendered skin. Here, pebble dash, which is basically render with pebbles applied to it, is in some areas becoming quite bare. This is called destoning, and on this building there are different sized cracks. Some of the cracks have been poorly repaired in the past and simply failed again. When we tap the pebble dash, any sound differences suggest there are hollows beneath the surface where it has come away or blown. This is what happens when pebbles become loose and fall out, leaving sizable pits in the surface. Water finds its way into these pits, and when it freezes, it does exactly the same as it does to render, forcing it away from the wall behind. The water and frost has the same damaging effect. Water, damp conditions, and changes in temperature can eventually damage the brickwork, pointing, and erode mortar beds. It can even corrode the metal ties that hold the walls together. All of this can threaten the very structure of your home, and much of it can occur with you knowing very little about it. Where new windows have been fitted to these buildings, the repairs around the frame are inadequate or have failed, so they could let in the damp, leading to more damage. It all needs redoing and then protecting. All these problems can be solved by the Endurogard exterior protection system. The defects can be repaired, and those repairs, as well as the rest of the house, can be protected, giving the whole building a really fresh new look. So, what's the basis of this transformation? It's all to do with the development of a new protective skin for the property. Let's go behind the scenes at the factory and see how this has been achieved. Here in the Andura Improvements Group's UK factory, up to 1 million litres of protective coating are produced each year. This specialised product is called Andura XP. It's been researched and developed in the UK over 25 years using British expertise and technology, and is designed specifically to protect British homes from the British weather. So, what are the essential ingredients that achieve this? Let's hear from the laboratory technicians at the factory.
We use blended resins to permanently bond the coating to the surface it covers. Plasticizer keeps the coating flexible and helps to prevent cracking. Microscopic fibres ensure tensile strength within the coating. Perlite acts as an insulating barrier against the elements and helps the coating to breathe. Biocide prevents the growths that stain and disfigure surfaces. The white pigment is always titanium dioxide, but there are many others used in combination and chosen to give a long-lasting colour stability.
Andura XP is available in a wide range of colours. We test every batch of Andura XP for colour and texture level, as well as specific gravity and viscosity, the thickness. Andura XP is up to 20 times thicker than ordinary paint. Andura XP has been independently and extensively tested by the British Board of Agreement, commonly known as the BBA. Andura XP has two properties that are crucial for the job it has to do. A building moves and breathes, and so the coating must do the same and look good for a long time. This sheet of plastic is coated in Andura XP. I can bend it backwards and forwards in various ways, but it remains completely intact. It doesn't crack or peel. It really is totally flexible. Andura XP breathes, but at the same time is extremely water resistant. In this test, we've suspended a building block coated with Andura XP halfway up this glass tank, and we've poured water in above the block. But underneath the tank is empty and dry, just as it should be on the inside walls of your home. The top of the block has been immersed in the water for several hours. But as you can see, none of the water has seeped through the coating or the block to underneath. There's no moisture or droplets. It's completely dry. Now, look what happens when I pump air into the bottom of the tank. I'm going to put this card behind the tank so you can clearly see the air passing through. It passes up through the block, through the coating and into the water, causing bubbles. So, as you can see, the coating is breathing, but the water is kept right out of the cavity beneath it. It clearly demonstrates a very important feature of Andura XP. Although it keeps liquid water out, it's still permeable enough to still allow water vapour to breathe out through it. Now, we've all heard about atmospheric pollution and acid rain. Let's see how Andura XP copes with this. Part of this masonry surface has been coated with Andura XP. Now, here's something a great deal stronger than acid rain. Look what happens when concentrated hydrochloric acid is dropped onto the exposed surface. And look at the difference when it's dropped onto the coating. The exposed surface is bubbling where the acid is eating away at it, but the coating remains totally unaffected. Let's see how Andura XP copes with fire. For this test, flammable liquid is poured over the coating. When it's set alight, the liquid burns readily. And after it's burnt out, you can see the coating remains intact and hasn't peeled or blistered. Imagine what would happen to ordinary paint.
That's pretty impressive, isn't it? And the Andura Improvements Group factory is British Standards approved and has been for well over a decade. Now, we all know the end result is only as good as the preparation. The approach for getting the building ready for applying the AnduraGuard exterior protection system is meticulous. The first job is to cover the immediate surrounding area, such as paths and gardens, with dust sheets. Even plants and trees can be protected. Then, the doors and windows and any other areas that are not going to be treated are carefully masked with paper and tape. Nothing is left to chance. Even the guttering is masked off and protected. Render and Pebble Dash are hammer tested to locate any hollow areas. These are completely removed and cut back to sound surfaces. Small cracks in otherwise sound areas are cut out and filled with an epoxy-based resin compound. Larger cracks often need extra work to reduce the possibility of them opening up again in the future. Damaged areas of Render or Pebble Dash are cut back and then treated with special bonding primers and restored with 2 layers of a sand-cement mixture. Pebble Dash finishes are matched by spraying similar sized aggregate onto the surface with what is known as a Tyrolean gun. Once the repairs are done, the cleaning down begins. Grime and pollution, moss and algae are all brushed off the surfaces, as well as any flaking paint. Any damaged brickwork is recreated using a sand, cement and adhesive mix. And any damaged pointing is raked out and replaced. A mixture of sand, cement and additives is used to resurface bricks in a process called bagging. It covers small cracks and eliminates further spalling, and the brick line remains as a feature. The same process is used on the textured surfaces. Then a highly water-resistant stabilizer is applied as a primer coat. This first specialist coat is called Aquafast. It's applied with a brush so that it's worked into all the nooks and crannies and ensures maximum adhesion to the surface on which the final coat will be applied. Already you can see how the water just runs off. Nothing is getting through. Tests show that even in hurricane-force winds, the coating is virtually impermeable to liquid water. Now, the house is ready for the finishing coat. Because Andura XP is heavy and viscous, up to 20 times thicker than ordinary paint, it takes a high-powered compressor to apply it. This is needed, together with a rather sophisticated pump, to control the pressure and balance the amount of air and coating, so that the operator, using the special spray gun, has complete control over how the coating is applied to the surface to ensure a consistent finish is achieved. The coating's been applied and now the masking is removed. And just look at the end result, a complete facelift. Remember what it used to look like? All the damage is gone, a new look and total protection for years to come. As you can see, the change is pretty radical, but this is just one example of what AnduraGuard exterior protection system can do. Now look at the results of some of the other work that they've been doing. The pride the AnduraGuard teams take in their work is reflected in the comments on the customer satisfaction forms. The company has thousands like these on file. They come from people with properties ranging from small terraces to grand mansions, as well as commercial properties. In a world where not all contractors live up to their promises, what's behind the AnduraGuard 25-year guarantee? The Andura XP coating is manufactured by the Andura Improvements Group in its own factory here in the UK. All of the craftsmen are trained by the company and work exclusively for it. The British and European standard tests on the coating have been numerous and wide-ranging, covering all aspects of its performance. These tests, together with the Andura Improvements Group's 40 years of development experience in protective coating, enable the company to confidently guarantee the product, as well as the installation, for up to 25 years. Now that you've seen what's involved in the production and installation of the AnduraGuard exterior protection system, you can clearly appreciate that when it comes to what for most of us is in fact our biggest investment, our home, the AnduraGuard treatment is the best defence against the British weather.